Coming up, the death toll keeps going up after Hawaii's catastrophic wildfires.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Catastrophe in Hawaii. At least 53 people have been killed and an unknown number are still missing after wildfires tore a destructive path across Maui on Tuesday. President Biden approved a major disaster declaration for Hawaii, and Maui County officials say the fire near the historic town of Lahaina is about 80% contained. CBS's McKenna Maduli reports from Honolulu.
Smoldering ruins from the wildfires extend across large parts of Maui.
With lives lost and properties decimated, we are grieving with each other during this inconsolable time.
More than 100 National Guard members have been deployed, with more than a dozen helicopters conducting water drops and helping with the search for survivors. The Coast Guard rescued 17 people who ran into the ocean to escape the flames in an apocalyptic scene.
Still get dead bodies in the water floating and on the seawall.
Strong winds, in part from Hurricane Dora to the south, and dry conditions have fueled the fires, which are among the deadliest in the U.S. in modern history. The fires forced evacuations in some areas, including the popular tourist spot of Lahaina, where homes and businesses suffered some of the worst damage and destruction.
I grabbed some people who didn't have a way out, told them get their stuff, get in my truck, and we headed out.
Traveling in Utah, President Biden pledged that federal disaster aid for Maui will bring help to those who need it.
Anyone who's lost a loved one whose home has been damaged or destroyed is going to get help immediately.
On Oahu, officials were busy preparing the Hawaii Convention Center in Honolulu to shelter up to 4,000 people displaced by the wildfires. McKenna Maduli, CBS News, Honolulu.
CBS News has learned that first responders have not had a chance to search through all the destroyed homes. Sources close to the search effort fear the death toll will significantly rise. An official said late tonight they believe this will end up being the worst natural disaster in Hawaii's history. Officials say more than 1,000 structures were destroyed. The death toll in Hawaii has now surpassed our flooding catastrophe last year. During that disaster, National Guard soldiers saved hundreds of people. During the past year, the Kentucky National Guard visited all 120 counties in the Commonwealth to collect some data. That was for the Guard's county outreach program. The goal is to help the Guard create a plan for each county ahead of future disasters.
The state leadership saw a need for us to kind of have an idea of where the counties in the state stood before the emergencies happened. Because when you have to go into 14 or 15 counties at one time, that spreads us pretty thin.
First Sergeant Rhodes says the next step for the program will be going through the data collected to make detailed plans.
Quiet weather continues across the mountains as we go into tonight. The big story, though, we are watching out for the potential for some dense fog in some areas. Here's a live look right now over at Buffalo Mountain. You can already see some of that dense fog down in the valley. That current temperature at 68 degrees right now over in Perry County, and most of us, if not all of us, are dry right now on the radar as high pressure begins to work in behind our cold front. That cold front brought widespread showers earlier today, but again, we are drying out as some drier air begins to work in for the rest of tonight. We stay dry under that partly cloudy sky. The big story, that dense fog, so you may need some extra time as you wake up and walk out the door on that Friday morning commute. And those temperatures, they stay comfortable in the middle 60s as you wake up on Friday. And speaking of your Friday, temperatures back near average in the middle 80s. Only a small chance of a stray shower or storm, especially over those southern counties, but we are watching out for potentially some higher rain chances this weekend and into early next week. Those details on the way in just a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Cameron, thank you. Tonight we're talking with the Whitley County Commonwealth's attorney after the county's first homicide conviction in an overdose death. We told you yesterday Bruce Hudson pleaded guilty to manslaughter. He admitted to selling drugs to a victim who died as a result. Commonwealth's Attorney Ronnie Bowling says their community is tight-knit, which helps law enforcement.
We're still a small community. If you're known as a fentanyl dealer, it's kind of hard to rest easy here because law enforcement knows to look at you at all times.
A judge sentenced Hudson to 15 years in prison. He will have to serve at least half his sentence. In Laurel County, a 2-year-old boy has died after deputies say he accidentally shot himself. It's the second fatal accidental shooting in Laurel County in the last 3 weeks. We spoke to gun safety advocates and experts about being a responsible gun owner. They say before loading up your gun, it's important to know the power behind the trigger. Whitney Austin, who advocates for responsible gun ownership, says the safest way to store your gun is to unload it, lock it, and put it and the ammunition in separate locations.
Every single day, lives can be saved just because someone has learned why they need to safely store.
The case in Laurel County is still under investigation. London police officer Logan Medlock was killed in a crash last year while in the line of duty. Now a Laurel County woman is using her talents as an artist to raise money for the fallen officer's wife and son. WYMT's Keaton Hall has the story.
Laurel County artist George Ellen Jackson was at home the night London police officer Logan Medlock was killed in the line of duty.
I actually heard the crash that night when he passed away. And so the next morning, you know, I found out who it was. It kind of bothered me because I've met him a few times before, and he's always been really nice.
Jackson says she was inspired to do something for Medlock's family using her talents. Now she's raffling off a piece of her art, an image of Officer Medlock with his son, Brantley. The winner will be announced at an art show this Saturday in London.
Yeah, we've got artists from Louisiana, Florida, I think some may be coming from South Carolina and Tennessee, so it's going to be a big event.
The event is being sponsored by Jackson's art group, Painting New Beginnings. Jackson took up painting after a tumor left her without most of her vision.
Even though, you know, I could still drive, it got to where I couldn't anymore. So I'm sitting at home 24/7, you know, and COVID hit, and I was real depressed.
That's when Jackson says her son found canvases, paints, and brushes in their attic that had never been opened.
I just looked up and said, okay, God, thank you. And I've been painting ever since.
Jackson says she's been inspired by the support she's received already.
More people have gave donations than they have actually bought raffle tickets. And the ones that bought raffle tickets has actually put them in Brantley's name.
The art show starts at noon on Saturday at the London Laurel County Farmers Market. In London, Keaton Hall, WYMT Mountain News.
You can purchase a raffle ticket for $5 at the London Police Department or the day of at the art show. Dr. Marcia Hawkins will soon be retiring from her position as Union College's president. Hawkins has been the president for more than a decade and will retire after this upcoming school year. Hawkins says she hopes students remember professors more than her because of their connections and hard work together.
I would prefer to be just a blip that maybe did some good while I was here and left things in a good place for the next person that comes.
Hawkins also says the school is on the cusp of some great things that she's looking forward to. It was a very busy day on the Morehead State University campus as first-year students began moving in for the fall and spring semesters. Hundreds of volunteers were on hand to make freshmen move in as seamless as possible. MSU is seeing a significant uptick in students living in the residence halls. Administrators are working hard to accommodate the increase and are thrilled to welcome the class of 2027 to campus.
We have a wonderful, wonderful group coming in of not only freshmen coming in this year, a nice 4% bump, we think, over last year, but our housing is almost full. 2,916 students moving in and still coming. Just this morning, we had more people calling, wanting rooms, which is a good problem, and we're trying to work through that, but we're very excited about the fall semester. We're just trying to find places to put everybody.
More students are scheduled to arrive on campus tomorrow. Classes begin at Morehead State on Monday, August 14th. Well, EKU says this year's freshman class is one of the largest in its history. That's 2,900 students, and some have never been away from home, and some don't know anyone on campus. To keep students from being homesick, the university is putting a priority on making sure they stay active with hopes that it will boost mental health and retention. Alyssa Williams takes us to Richmond to see how new students are adjusting and what the school has planned for them.
This is the fall semester of 2022, an outdoor music concert in the middle of campus before classes started at EKU. This is part of the Big E Welcome. For the next 3 days before the fall 2023 semester starts, there will be dozens of activities like this that'll take place, serving as a huge icebreaker, especially for some in the incoming freshman class who just stepped on campus and don't know anyone, like Hannah McDonald.
It's like a whole new environment. It's like I literally know no one here, so it's scary, you know?
The 18-year-old freshman from Murray, Kentucky says she's anxious, but she knows the upcoming social activities will help her adjust.
If we didn't have all these activities and stuff, I wouldn't meeting new people until classes and stuff.
Well, this freshman class is particularly unique. So their whole high school experience was impacted by the pandemic, and then there's the ongoing conversation about the mental health needs.
Laura Vance is the Dean of Students at EKU. She says activities like the Big E Welcome also help retention. Vance says last year's freshman retention rate was 80%, one of the highest in school history. The school is putting in an effort to go beyond the books.
It is that sense of community that helps us retain students, and then when they're supporting each other, well, that's priceless.
Daniel Arend is a senior from Napa, California.
It was really hard at first, just being so far away from home and not knowing anybody. I was calling my family like every day.
He says one positive mental health tip for new students is to create a new community.
So taking that step to go out, go to events, meet new people, it's super helpful.
4 years in, Arend has his campus community. In 4 minutes on campus, McDonald is looking for her community. She'll find one, but first, she has to find her dorm.
No, I have no idea where the building is. Hopefully I can find a map.
In Richmond, Alyssa Williams, WKYT.
Lots of memories on that campus for me a long time ago. Part of the Big E Welcome will be an outdoor concert tomorrow night on campus at 8 o'clock with hip-hop artist Lil Jon. McDonald says she'll be there and she's super excited to attend her first concert. Coming up on Mountain News at 11, Governor Andy Beshear and Attorney General Daniel Cameron talk gender-affirming care again today.
Plus, dense fog is possible on your Friday morning commute. Those details plus your 7-day forecast coming up after this break.